Hello everyone! It's been a while since my last video, and in that time there's been 3 new identities and 1 ego that I haven't talked about yet, or, broke down at all. So, here I am finally getting around to it eventually, now that... How do you say this? Oufi Association Heathcliff came out? I'm probably saying that wrong, but who cares? Anyways, these identities themselves, Liu Ryoshu and Rodion, as well as Oufi Heathcliff, they're very simple identities, so this won't take very long, probably. But I can tend to ramble a bit, so who knows. Anyways, let's get started with the newest of the 3. And yeah, skill 1, Execution Advised, is a 3 to 11 2-coin skill that can gain extra 2 coin power, which would bring it up to a 15? Is that right? 15 for a skill 1 is pretty dang good. Other than that, though, it doesn't really do a whole lot, just inflicting extra 2 tremor count with the second coin, but it is a very high rolling skill 1 with the coin power boost, so that's pretty nice. Skill 2, Final Warning, is a 4 to 16 that goes up to a 20 with the boosted coin power from Tremor. And again, it doesn't really do anything else, just inflicting Tremor potency to actually be able to get the coin power by himself, basically. So, very good clashing power, but it doesn't really do a whole lot else. Skill 3, the actual main point of his kit, Execution Sentencing, is a 5 to 17 rolling 3-coin skill that can go up to a 23 max roll with the same coin power boost. The first 2 coins, it just inflicts some tremor, and the third coin, if the sum of the target's tremor potency and count is 20 or higher, which is very easy to achieve, he will trigger Amplitude Conversion, which is a brand new thing, that converts the tremor into tremor decay. I assume this converts the entire stack of tremor into it, which is very interesting. And tremor decay itself, specifically, it basically functions exactly identical to regular tremor. So, it lowers the stagger threshold if hit by tremor burst. But for every 4 tremor potency on the target with tremor decay, they will lose 1 defense level for it, which is very significant if you get a very high stack. I don't know if this is exclusively restricted to tremor decay, like if it's 4 tremor decay potency, or if it's just 4 tremor potency in general. Either way, it shouldn't really matter that much, because when you're triggering this, you're going to want to trigger it with a high stack anyways. So, it is a very good status effect, because it basically gives a whole bunch of free bonus damage for just having it. So, very nice, very good. Helps out Tremor Team a whole lot, that's for sure. Although it still doesn't really solve the issue with Tremor bursting when there is no stagger threshold, so I still think they need to do a little bit more with that specifically, but other than that. The defense skill is bad. 10 to 14 guard skill is just awful. When attacked while shield, he inflicts an extra tremor count. You're probably going to get like maybe 1 or 2 application of that, which is not very good, but yeah. His passive, Grave Attendance, he deals an extra 10% damage for every 6 tremor potency on target, up to 30%, which is very nice. Just basically, he's going to be dealing an extra 30% damage for free, essentially. And when he converts Tremor into Tremor Decay, he triggers Tremor Burst. So that basically just means the third coin on the third skill will Tremor Burst if his passive is active. So it's his only source of Tremor Bursting too. He can't do it anywhere else other than this passive, so it's good that he has it, at least. His support passive, Verify Obligation Fulfillment. One ally with the fastest speed gains 1 clash power to skills that apply tremor potency and count. Not the greatest passive, but it could be useful. Clash power is always something that you can always use, so yeah. And that basically wraps him up. He's incredibly simple, very basic. He has very high rolling skills, 15, 20, and 23. And the Tremor Decay is very good for actual, like, damage. So, all around decent. Not the greatest, but not terrible either. Now, going back to the ones that I missed from, like, 2 weeks ago, we have Liu Association Ryoshu. Skill 1, All Out War, is a 3 to 11 rolling 2 coin skill that can go up to a 14 clashing skill when the target has 10 burn. In addition, it inflicts an extra 3 burn with the coins, so it's okay. Decent skill 1. Nothing really to complain about. Skill 2, Fiery Knife Hand, is a 4 to 14 2-coin skill that can go up to 17 clashing with 6 burn. And it inflicts 2 burn and deals 50% damage if they're at 6 burn with the second coin, so not the greatest skill 2, but serviceable, to say the least. The extra damage is nice, but it doesn't really help that much considering the actual skill itself isn't that powerful, but it's still good. It's okay. Skill 3, Flame Cleave, is a 4 to 12 4-coin skill that can go up to a 17 with 6 burn. And it inflicts 3 burn with the first 3 coins, and the 4th coin will deal an extra 40% damage with 10 plus burn on the target. So, pretty good damage dealing skill. Although, you definitely need the actual coin and clash power boost. Otherwise, it is absolutely terrible at rolling. So, don't use the skill if the target doesn't have burn, basically. You only want to use the skill if they have burn. Her guard is just a basic guard. 8 to 16. Doesn't do anything. Her passive, Flame Spread. When this unit defeats an enemy with burn, apply 4 burn to 2 random enemies with no burn or with the least burn. And in focus encounters, it does 2 random parts instead. This is not a very good passive, because it only applies when she actually defeats an enemy. Which, any condition that requires the enemy dying, killing the enemy specifically, is not very good. As well as, like, the effect itself isn't that great either. It's an extra 8 burn potency, which is basically completely negligible and doesn't really do anything whatsoever, so not the best passive, kind of bad. Her support passive, Spread Flame, does the exact same thing. but inflicts 6 instead of 8. Again, same reason as to why her regular passive is bad. So, all in all, her clashing is decent for like a 2-star, and she does have good damage potential with the skill 3. But other than that, it's like not the greatest. She's definitely better than the other Liu 2-stars because of her clashing power. I mean, the reason the other ones are bad is just they can't clash at all. Even though they have better burn application than her, their actual clashing numbers make it so that you're always going to be better off running her instead of them. The only reason she's a decent burn identity is because there's not a whole lot of competition. Finally, we have Liu Association Director Rodion. Skill 1 is a 3 to 11 that can boost up to a 15 again, just like Heathcliff, and it inflicts 2 burn, so very easy to get the coin power to, with it only requiring 6 burn, so very, very good at that, but yeah, again, doesn't really do much. The skill 2 is a 4 to 16 rolling 3 coin skill that can go up to a 22 with enough burn on the target. It inflicts 3 burn count with all 3 of the coins, and if the target has 6 plus burn count, it applies 3 burn to 2 targets with no burn or the least burn with the 3rd coin specifically. So already, like, this alone, like, the effect on the 3rd coin, it's already going to be giving you way more value than Ryoshu's passive ever could, because it just does it by itself without the condition of needing to kill the enemy. So yeah, still 3 burn count is really good. You basically only ever need 3 burn count, to be honest, because unless there's a specific condition where the burn count is reduced, it's never going to really run out naturally on its own. So if you have just a single identity that can inflict 3 burn count, the stack will never die, basically. And even more so if you have somebody who can inflict more. So very good skill 2. Very good skill 2. Skill 3, Pinpoint Blitz, is a 4 to 16 rolling 4 coin skill that can go up to a 20 rolling. And if the target has 6 plus burn and burn count, it deals an extra 30% more damage. It also inflicts 4 burn potency, and as well, it inflicts Wrath Affinity damage equal to the burn potency on target with a maximum of 30, and then reduces the target's burn count by 2. Even with this burn count reduction on the skill 3, it's very difficult to kill a burn stack, because you just run her and then, you know, Liu Honglu's passive and the stack won't die, ever. Even if you use the skill 3 like once or twice, it's impossible to kill it. The only disappointing thing about this skill, I would say, is that the actual Wrath Affinity damage that the 4th coin does is limited to only 30, which is very, very disappointing because, you know, even without that restriction, it's still capped out at 99, you know, which isn't the craziest thing in the world. So, I don't know, I feel like capping it out at 30 is pretty unnecessary. It could become, like, absolutely absurd if it does 99, but, you know, Dark Flame, just a single Dark Flame from Magic Bullet Otis does the exact same thing, so I don't see why Rodion can't have that single coin inflict 99 extra bonus damage, because, you know, Magic Bullet Otis is going to be doing it every single turn, so why can't Rodion do it with her 3rd skill? That's just how I feel about that. I don't think it should be capped out. Her defense skill is a 9 to 16 counter that inflicts 1 burn on hit, so it's okay. It's fine. Nobody's going to be using this anyways, so who cares? Her passive, Burning Passion, is a Wrath Resonance passive that deals 10% more damage for every 6 burn potency on target up to a maximum of 30. I think that's the same thing as Liu Ishmael's passive. So that's pretty good. Yeah, it's exactly the same. The only difference is Liu Ishmael is specifically blunt damage, whereas she is all damage because she's got different, 2 different attack types with blunt and pierce. The second part of the passive is at combat start, if all enemies have 6+ burn potency, which is very easy to achieve when actually running a burn team, she applies 1 wrath damage up to all allies to the highest number of wrath absolute resonance, specifically absolute resonance, in deployment order. So that basically means as long as there are 3 wrath skills in a row, 3 allies will always be gaining wrath damage up, which is basically all of the Liu identities. Their main damaging skills are wrath, so they're just going to be doing an extra 10% damage. As well as gaining 1 attack power up as well, because they just do that too. So, very good passive. Her support passive, Passionate Cheer. 1 ally with the least SP deals 5% pierce damage for every 6 burn potency on target. So, just extra pierce damage. Although, it is restricted to burn, so it's definitely not as good as just base Rodion's passive, because it's restricted to burn. Anyways, yep, that's it. That's all for today. There is still the Garden of Roses ego that I haven't talked about yet, but that ego specifically is going to need an entire video on its own, because I have a lot to say about that ego in particular. Let's just leave it at that. So yeah, that's it for me for now. Goodbye.